Hey guys, welcome back to Inside the Storm. I'm your host Zane, and today we're going to be recapping everything around the senior team this past week, as well as previewing their upcoming game, hitting some points with the juniors, and let's get straight into it. Match week 13 saw the senior team take on Moonee Valley Knights in a huge game away from home. Moonee Valley Knights currently sitting in first place, with the Storm coming into this game in ninth. So definitely a big disparity on points, but obviously in terms of recent form and also the general positive trajectory of the team and the improvement in the performances, there was definitely an expectation that, playing away from home, Friday night kickoff, under the lights, there would be a really good energy from the Storm and a really, really good chance of winning the game. And you definitely saw that in the first half. I think it was a relatively contentiously balanced first half with chances both ways. Obviously, Moonee Valley take a early goal lead in the 8th minute from a corner. Unfortunately, just a set piece. And from there, I think Storm definitely grows into the game. They started off extremely fast. And from there, the Storm definitely grows into the game. You see a lot more stability come out from the back line and in sustained possession. And Moonee just hits on the break extremely well, extremely efficiently in that first half. And you saw that, Storm having the ball, having control, but unable to fashion as many clear-cut chances as you'd like. You saw a couple half chances and positive situations, but just not as many clear-cut chances as they'd like. And ultimately, minute 35, a piece of, brilliant individual skill, and Moonee's 2-0 up. And then the Storm goes into halftime with a lot of work to do in the second half to be able to bring it back. And I think the performance probably didn't warrant 2-0. Moonee definitely had a lot of chances and there was some brilliant saves. But on the balance, the game was more competitive than 2-0 at halftime. And going into the half, I think that was really the sentiment that was echoed, was that, the performance had been good. And unfortunately, unlucky on moments. You see, top individual quality and a set piece, and that puts you 2 goals down. So definitely that was a really unfortunate first half. And then, unfortunately, as football goes, the second half, it actually went from bad to worse. Despite the performance being as good as it was, unfortunately, some key injuries in the second half to the starting goalkeeper and the captain on the pitch meant that a lot of makeshift changes had to come in adjusting shape and adjusting backline. And obviously, losing your first choice keeper in those kind of moments, having someone needing to fill in who hasn't played with the team much in that position, extremely difficult against first place, especially with weather conditions and visibility were both big issues in the game, and so definitely a tough one to take away from home. Warranted playing first place. It's difficult to get a win, but losing 5-0 is definitely a bit of a reality check and a reset for the squad, knowing that they were on such a positive trajectory, ending the first half of the season, and now kind of needing to reset after not being able to pick up a win in the last 3 games. Obviously, extremely difficult. The current position of the squad on the table is definitely not reflective of the type of football they've been playing and how competitive they've been in games. But again, that's football, and that's this league. This league is extremely competitive. It comes down to top moments, individual quality, and those fine margins. And unfortunately, in a lot of the games, the Storm senior squad hasn't been able to get the better of that side. And definitely saw that in that game. Playing a competitive first half, being 2-0 down, and then ending the game in a complete 5-0 blowout. And unfortunately, that's football sometimes. And the only messaging that you can have for the squad is be positive and take that as a reminder of what can happen if things don't go right on a match day, and a really good chance for them to be able to respond against Meadow Park at home.
Yeah, 5-0, not great. Moonee Valley's tough side. Yeah, they are a great team, but hey, my boys gave it everything they could. I couldn't ask for more. We did all the right things and did what I've told them. They did what I told them to do, and yeah, unfortunately couldn't come out with a win.
On the reserves, actually, they've found themselves in a similar 2-0 deficit by the 60th minute, and for them able to actually get a 3-2 win. So extremely positive stuff with the reserves. Obviously, less result driven than seniors and more focused on the developmental side, but definitely a really nice result for them. Also taking down first place and a real positive. Positive atmosphere around that squad, and especially certain players being able to integrate and play with the seniors and vice versa. There's been a real chemistry between the squads, and it's very positive to see that results are getting there for reserves to match the seniors when possible. On the preview end, next week the Storm takes on Meadow Park at home. That was the third game of the first round robin away from home, which ended up in a crazy 3-2 loss. A lot of drama, a lot of decisions, a lot of chances, and definitely a huge game. Zooming out of the game and looking at the table as a whole, Storm currently sits in 11th in one of the relegation spots, while Meadow Park sits in 10th, separated by 2 points. Separated by 1 point. So a win here would be really huge for ensuring safety and getting some distance between the bottom two. It would actually put Meadow Park in the relegation zone, or Thornbury, depending on goal difference, and really just it may be the biggest game of importance for the Storm so far this season. Obviously, playing first place was huge, but not a game that you're expected to dominate or guarantee get the 3 points. But this is an absolute 6-pointer by all ends, and by all accounts, because losing this would put the seniors in a really precarious position, almost requiring consistent wins out of their next 8 games. But winning this would add some distance between them and Meadow Park, while also fixing that confidence after conceding 11 goals in 3 games and not being able to win in 3. It would definitely bring some confidence back and a little bit of safety, because the last thing you want is the squad playing under pressure, thinking about relegation, being in that relegation zone. The pressure it brings, the mistakes it can bring out, and just the environment and atmosphere around the squad can be extremely negative and extremely stressful. Should the squad remain in the relegation zone for multiple game weeks, and while already most games are must win, this makes it even harder that every game requires a win to ensure safety. And so there's a lot of football to be played. It's while the Storm currently finds himself in 11th, there's a lot of football to be played. There's about 24 points still up for grabs. So there's a lot of potential for the Storm to move up. It really just goes game by game, and zooming out, this game is absolutely massive on all ends, and it's one of those 6-point games at the bottom where winning it can really catapult a team to safety, but also in positive momentum. On the junior end, this week there are no games. As you've seen from the media, they've been all the teams are finding a lot of success. It's great to see, not only just in results, but in performance and drive. We've highlighted Coach Fred's team quite a bit. We've highlighted Coach Gorky's team, and they've been in media recently. And it's really exciting to see those young players develop and learn and learn the kind of football that the Storm wants to play consistently, from juniors all the way up to seniors, especially with the fundamental principles of playing out and possession and good chance creation, not just direct football. It's really positive to see that younger generation taking it on so well, and hopefully that next generation of players that start to come through, who are 10, 12 now, who start to move to the 16, 17s, and hopefully get involved with the senior team. So really positive, and that connection between the senior program and the junior program is vital for every single club, and it's been really positive to see so far. But yeah, anyways, guys, we're playing at home this week against Meadow Park. 1 p.m. kickoff for the reserves, 3 p.m. kickoff for seniors. Both teams with a lot to prove. Reserves obviously coming off a huge win against first place. Seniors looking to bounce back after quite a big defeat. So a huge game. If you can come down, show your support, we'd love to have you there. The home ground atmosphere will be really important to the team to push them forward. If you can't make it, obviously the games always get live streamed on YouTube, and the highlights are out the next day. I've been your host, Zane. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.